You're listening to the Soulless Minions of Orthodoxy, alternative DVD commentaries. Hello, my name is Josh, and sitting with me in the Soulless Minions studios is my brother Justin. Say hello.
Hello.
Today we're watching a film from 1958. It's a film called It, The Terror from Beyond Space. Did I get the title correct?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Beyond Space.
If you like to watch the movie with us,
we sure hope you do.
And we hope you do, because that means you own it. Maybe you own the lovely double feature pack that we have. But if you'd like to watch it with us, we're going to set up a sync point that's going to be 20 seconds into the DVD. That's may vary on if it's on Blu-ray or not. I don't know. But that's after the United Artists logo has faded away. So go ahead and find that point on your DVD. Press pause. When I say unpause, we'll all unpause together and watch the movie, possibly in sync.
Should we point out why we're watching this, or should we wait till the movie starts?
Oh, let's wait.
All right.
Because I was done with the intro anyway.
Okay,
here comes the start of the movie thing. 3, 2, 1, unpause. So we are doing this movie, brother, because we were... it was a request some time ago.
Yes.
It was actually requested a long time ago after we did Them. We did a commentary for the movie Them. This came up as something that was similar. Although after watching this, I would say that Them is the superior film.
Do you remember what year Them was done?
Yeah, I think it's
clearly 50s.
Maybe early 60s.
Really?
Or maybe late 50s. I don't know. Because it had that color title, remember? Which was weird.
Yeah, but this could have had color. I mean, they had color back in the 30s.
Color didn't exist. I'm joking.
This...
Yeah.
But very interesting, to bring that up, given that these are both creature movies from the same basic era.
Death. This was what we faced when our spaceship cracked up in landing just 6 months ago.
So,
in January of this year,
we just did watch this for the first time.
Yes,
so,
we did.
But it seems as if 6 centuries passed before...
It was an interesting kind of experiment for the both of us.
Because just like Them, this is not a movie that we would have...
Well, I mean, we literally just watched this together for the first time a few minutes ago. We just finished.
Yeah.
And we didn't decide it to be that way. We just kind of decided, hey, let's we still haven't done this. Let's watch it right now. It's only an hour and 9 minutes long.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. We're skipping stuff.
Yeah, we are.
This is a very short movie, so we can't, we got to stay specific.
It is short, but it has
that opening I actually thought was kind of interesting. Opening on the wreckage of the original ship with him doing the voiceover and then panning over to the rescue ship shortly before it takes off. That's kind of interesting in concept. They didn't really nail it, but it was an interesting idea.
I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention the first time because I didn't see the wrecked ship.
The wrecked ship is what we were looking at for the bulk of the time.
Then they pan over
during his narration.
Yeah.
Teleradio communication with Mars ceased immediately.
Which was terrible narration.
Well, yeah, and it's the future of 1979, I think.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, something like that. And this is the space logo, I guess. Whatever it is supposed to be.
You mean the eagle?
The eagle is there. I think it's supposed to be the NASA space logo or something.
Oh, I see.
Whatever this thing is called. Obviously, his chair is too close. Did you notice that? He shakes the blinds as he sits down. It was awkward. It's like, put your chair up, man. Or put the desk back. So I mean, did you like the movie? What do you think? Because we I mean, in all fairness, we went into this. We wanted to be fair to the movie, although we didn't say that. We try to be fair to every movie, but we did rip on it.
We did, and I think it would have been interesting. I think it would have been an interesting experience had we watched it alone. When we watched Them, we watched it separately.
Yeah, that's right.
And I actually started Them thinking I was going to end up ripping on it through the whole thing, but I ended up getting into the movie.
Right.
This one, not so much.
No. And that's lovely. Once he says murder, they all get up and run.
They all get up and run. There could be a whole bunch more he has to
That
tell
was the
them.
first moment where we laughed out loud.
Yeah.
And that,
There was a few moments where we laughed out loud in this movie.
we do want to show this movie respect because there's people out there that do love it. And maybe for whatever reason, this is something that's dear to them. So we don't want to, we don't want to hurt their feelings.
Well, what I noticed reading the back of the box, and I really don't know how accurate this is, but...
Oh, we have to read the back of the box.
And I quote, it says, "The film's plot was neatly lifted nearly 20 years later and used as the basis for the enormously successful Alien." Having said that, I can see the similarity. Alien, of course, is a lot more layered and a lot more textured. This is a very, very similar, thin plot. But did I like it? No. But the thing is I think it actually had potential.
I'm not denying it had potential.
And it's things that they could have done without exceeding, I don't think, their budget at all. If you think about Alien takes place on the spaceship for the most part, when the real horror starts.
Yeah.
And the Nostromo is a huge ship. It's gigantic.
So it's this ship, apparently.
Not as big as the Nostromo. And this ship, unlike the Nostromo, could have given the filmmakers the opportunity for some real tension and close quarters horror, which the Nostromo didn't necessarily lend itself to because of its size. But all taking place on this ship really gave it the opportunity for those cramped quarters, issues. And it's kind of disappointing that they didn't take advantage of that.
Well, speaking of that, we had no idea what we're going into with this movie.
No.
I mean, when you read that little factoid to me before we sat down and watched it, I was like, okay, that's interesting. And it didn't even dawn on me until probably about 25 minutes in, where I was like, is the whole movie going to take place on the spaceship?
No, you said that about 5 minutes in.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Or like 10 minutes in. Yeah.
I was like, because I assumed that they would bring this thing back to Earth and then it would be on Earth. That's what I assumed. And, maybe I'm just really stupid and I wasn't paying attention, but I didn't know who Carruthers was at first because they didn't show us.
They don't show you
who Carruthers is, and they're talking about Carruthers, and you see this guy, you see Van. Before you see Carruthers, I was like, okay, that must be Carruthers. Why? And we were both, well, why is he piloting this ship?
That's
weird.
another thing that immediately as we were watching, and this is one of those things that I'm sure you do the same thing. If you're watching a movie for the first time, and you find yourself editing the movie already in your head, you're like, okay, this is not a good sign. But as we were watching this, I thought, within the space of that first 10 minutes, they should have done one of two things. Either we should have been introduced to Carruthers actually being rescued from his ship.
Yeah.
So we get to know him that way, or go the other way and get introduced to the rescue crew first and have it be basically the way the movie started with the ship taking off and leaving Mars and all that. And there's a real, where are we? What's going on? And meet Carruthers in their version of their brig or something like that because they don't know what's going on, you know, and have the really play up the mystery a little more of what happened to his crew and things like that. But they didn't do anything. He's got the run of the ship right now. And as far as they're concerned, he may or may not have killed his crew.
Well, yeah, and they're just pretty much, as you said, giving him the run of the ship, and they're already calling him a murderer.
Yeah.
Basically, that word's been tossed around.
Well, not only by them, but the people on Earth.
Yeah. And they have no hard evidence. They're already accusing him of murder.
Yeah. Neatly wrapped in a towel.
Yeah, a bath towel, apparently. But you're right. We didn't have those scenes that set up who any of these people were. We were just thrown into it. You have Van on his radio, and then he starts talking to these people. We're like, who are these people?
Well, that's how they introduce that crew. Each person gets their little comm check, and they say their name as if it means anything.
Well, because to us it's confusing. It's like, who are these people?
Well, they're no one. I know.
It's just like, oh, I guess this is the crew. I thought they were dead. Oh, this is the recovery
I never
crew.
really know. How come Carruthers' outfit is so much tighter than everyone else's? Did you notice that?
That's a good question.
Take a look again.
Maybe they weren't tailored.
Here we go with our laserdacical.
Better get used to that shot.
Yeah.
I'm going to see it a lot. Well, the women wear white, and the men wear, well, who knows? It could be blue.
Could be green. Could be
I was like, they wear gray. And this guy, as I pointed out, is the first guy to die, right? The guy that says, when I get back to Earth, he is the first guy to die. The guy on the left?
I need to see him.
I wore long underwear.
Yeah, this guy.
He's the guy that gets his head scraped, I think.
I thought he was the first guy to die.
I don't think so. I think he's the one that ends up in the bandage.
Oh, well, then who's the first guy to die?
The guy on the left, I think the first guy to die is...
The guy on the right? The little guy on the right?
Maybe.
Could have sworn it was this dude, because we never see this guy again.
Yeah, this guy on the right.
The guy on the left, I don't recall ever seeing again.
I think both of those guys are the ones that get chewed up, basically, on the lower deck.
Okay. And basically, these women serve absolutely no purpose other than to serve them food, coffee, and to bandage them. Basically.
Although there's the medical bed right over there. So.
Okay. So this is the medical bed
because you and I found out
slash mess hall.
Probably about halfway through the movie, they give us a rough diagram.
Well, at first we had no idea how big this ship was, and it seemed to go on endlessly.
Right.
And you would think that this outside of these walls, this circular room is outside of space. This is a circular rocket. But no, there are other rooms outside of these walls, so it would appear to be wider than it looks.
And we found out that there's the control deck, the quarters, storage 1, storage 2, and the engine room, essentially. Mm-hmm. So it's a 5-deck ship, rocket ship.
Oh, it's atomic.
Right.
There's a few atomic engines, which was big back then.
Yes, that was a big deal.
Did you really feel that... who did you feel was the strongest character overall? I mean, because it wasn't like when we watched... I hate to bring up them again, because that's the only other movie I can compare it to.
I think that's a really good comparison for a lot of different reasons.
At least in our oeuvre of commentaries.
Yes.
Them had characters in it.
Yes, it did.
That we could sympathize with and identify with.
It focused on the main 3 people.
Right.
4.
But this...
well, this one, they were clearly trying to make Carruthers the main guy.
The hero,
but he's not interesting to me.
Well, I don't know if that's because of the actor or... I mean, it's obviously a movie that's only an hour and 9 minutes. I don't think we're going to get a lot of character development to be...
Well, I don't know. I think you can... I think you can have some development into even a movie this short. But
so, and this character, I mean, I don't know if she ever had a name. Did she?
Not that I recall.
Okay, it's possible. I mean, because a lot of these characters, love interest. I mean, there's an old woman and a young woman, and you wonder which one they're going to fall in love with.
Right.
But a lot of these characters were pretty dispensable. For the most part.
Definitely.
I mean, it's like spark plugs, interchangeable, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you got Carruthers here, and you got Van for the most part, but then he goes out of commission, like in the beginning of the third act, and he's out of it, and then he starts to go wacko.
And I think beyond them, I mean, there's 1 or 2 other guys that are still around. You know, I actually think it would have been more interesting if one by one they were all killed, and Carruthers was like the only survivor again. That would have been kind of...
That would have been like a twisty Twilight Zone kind of thing, almost.
It's like he survived again, and he's going back.
And he's going to be accused of all of their murders. That would have been cool, but maybe that's way too chilling for a 1958 audience. You know?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, but you're right. Now now that you mention it, there's the thing that was missing was there was not enough killing. I mean, it monster kills 2 people, maybe
2. That's it.
You would think, because with that we're going in with that alien mentality. Oh, okay, one by one they're going to get picked off, and there's maybe going to be a few left, at least one to corroborate Carruthers' story, at least.
Right.
Maybe Van or one of the women. You would think to corroborate the story, but not. And even the guy that gets trapped down below with the arc welder lives.
Yeah, he does.
So, a lot of these people you thought would have died don't.
And it's not for me to decide or for you, Van.
But you're right, though. The characters were pretty interchangeable. I suppose Van here had the most character, and he was pretty thin.
See, she's doing the thing with the hand.
Yeah, see, there's clearly a thing between them.
But
she very quickly dumps him and goes to the next.
You think
hero.
that's this movie's subtlety? Because there's no kissing. There's the hand, and she does. You see it. It's very subtle.
You
she
think
did
that
it to
was
him.
the 50s code thing?
Of I'm your woman.
Right.
She did that to him right there, and then she does it to the other guy.
Carruthers.
She's like coddling him. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's their way of depicting that there is a romance between these two of some sort.
And see, that's the dude. He dies. He's the first guy to die. I told you. The guy who said, when I get back to Earth, he's the first guy to die. That's this guy.
All right, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
He's sitting there reading the paper.
And he broke the horror rule.
What?
Never talk about your future. Never talk about your girl back home.
Yeah.
Never do.
If he pulled out a picture of his girlfriend, that would have been icing on the cake.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Where is he?
What floor is he on?
Yeah.
What room is he in?
Well, he's in control. He's on the top floor.
Oh, is he? Is this control? Oh, it says control.
Yeah, because look, there's no more
Ladder
going up. So now he's going into the quarters.
So where are they?
They're in their individual quarters. They come out at one point.
So he's okay. They're obviously below him because he's at the top. No, I mean, when the it monster shows up here, he's in shadow, and the movie does a pretty good for the most of it. I say about 2/3 of keeping the monster in the shadows, not showing him too much.
I don't even think 2/3, man. I think about 1/3 of the way it comes out.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, at least the first death is handled.
This death?
Yeah, it's completely in shadow. I'm not saying it was done. I'm not saying it was done very well. It was okay, but all you see is the shadow. You don't see the monster. You don't see him react to anything. All you do is hear him scream. It's off camera.
Right.
So I thought, okay, that's neat. That's maybe the rest of the movie will be like that. But no, they kind of blow their wad on the monster a little early. I mean, maybe they knew he looked terrible. I mean, he really doesn't look good.
No, he doesn't.
No, even the shots of the feet are bad. I mean, it's bad. It's clearly a guy in a suit. I mean, not saying it could not be a guy in a suit, but they definitely could have done better than that.
Yeah. He's like, whoa.
He's like bench pressed him.
No, he like broke his back over his knee or something.
And they're smoking Sector 6s.
Right. Smoking on a spaceship.
Yeah, very bad
in an
idea.
All oxygen environment.
Very bad.
I learned to hear all over again.
Seeing one of the two decks that the guy, whoever the hell he was,
The guy who just died?
Yeah. He started going through the decks and the lights were off.
Yeah.
And he was just lit by a couple key sources.
So whose quarters are they in?
They're in Dr. Eric Royce's.
Dr. Royce. Okay. Royce is the guy from Little House on the Prairie.
Right.
That's Royce.
Right. That's Royce right there.
Yeah.
But that was one thing even as we were watching it, I was thinking, this movie is way too well lit. This is supposed to be a horror movie, he was down in engineering for a while. He should have damaged part of the systems to where, the lights were dimmed and they were on emergency power or something, for crying out loud, they're in a contained space. We shouldn't be able to see from wall to wall as the audience. We need to see, there needs to be darkness, especially in a confined set like this. Again, it's one of those things I'm very surprised they didn't do. They didn't have to build extra sets to do that. It's less light, not more light. No, yeah, sure, maybe it would take more time to light that way, but it can't be that much more. And it would have, I think, greatly improved the feel of the movie.
And it must have been very cheap to make because the whole movie takes place on these sets.
And certainly,
And they must have redressed.
at least 2.
They must have had. I'm guessing they had 2 rooms.
Yeah.
One that they could climb to and up and down from, and they would just redress each one. Because why would they have to? Why would they do that many?
Well, you could, in theory, do it all on one.
In
But-
theory. Well, it's like that movie Cube. You've seen Cube.
No,
it's
I
all in one room.
I have a feeling this was all done on one set, and like on this, they just closed in the walls, and then when they made it the quarter set, they just pulled those walls out, and really not much to it. Really a genius way to make a movie.
Yeah. So
Essentially, it is.
must have been
one set.
very cheap to make. Probably not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that it was a good cost saving.
No, and like
to make
I said,
a movie like this,
with less lighting, you could have made more of this set.
definitely would have helped feeling more claustrophobic.
See, now look at this shot.
Interesting.
First of all, it's too far back. We shouldn't see it like this. You need.
And we're zoomed in.
Well, I just mean
Yeah.
it looks too stagey.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sure.
Look at they're like in a square warehouse. This doesn't make any sense.
No.
And where is this on their diagram?
It's like the
This has-
basement is
this
like the
has to
basement floor of the Southern
Space
Sun.
Needle.
It's
Yeah.
got
What was I saying? Oh yeah, the camera work should have throughout the movie slowly got closer to each actor, to accentuate the confined nature of where they are. But they don't do that. They play a lot of wide shots and all of
I
that.
was like, what did he find? Cigarettes. He found cigarettes. That's what he was. This ship has a treasure trove of material.
Contraband.
I mean, okay. It has cigarettes. It has blood, apparently, just stored away for a rainy day. Plenty of cigarettes.
And an arsenal.
And an arsenal. Now,
including a bazooka.
a bazooka. Now, I found that very odd and laughable, but then you pointed out the fact that, yes, they were going to what was purportedly a hostile environment.
Yes.
That could explain some of the weapons,
Yes.
but not even space weapons. These are just like bazookas, regular Colt
Projectile
45s.
weapons.
And I was just
Yeah.
like, no Futuro guns, no lasers, just guns.
No lasers.
And grenades. A box full of grenades just chilling out.
And they use them. That's where it got really laughable to us, that they were using grenades and bazookas in a spaceship.
Yeah.
And it didn't damage anything.
I think he's just, maybe he's just built. Oh, he's a little more buff, That's why he's filling out the suit.
You see that though, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Gino.
Well, maybe as the lead, they wanted him to look, buffer, so they gave him a tighter suit.
Maybe.
Show off the guns. You know what I
Maybe.
mean?
If he were here, he'd hear us. Well, look, maybe he's hurt. We've
And
got to find him.
Maybe because, you would think that this movie is going to be maybe a fight between these two guys because they're both alpha males almost.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I was just about to say, Van, is he the captain? Because they don't really talk to about him.
He's
like
in command of the mission.
In fact, they don't really explain what anybody does on this ship.
That's not really important.
I guess it's not, but it would help at least give some sort of definition to who these people are. Van here, like you said, at least is in charge of the mission. He seems to be the captain.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know what Carruthers was.
No, I guess we assume that he's. Well, I guess by default we assume he was in the lead of the mission. But
I don't know. How can we assume that?
Maybe Gino's up there. Oh. No, he's not there.
yeah, and I mean there are a lot there, and we did find some similarities. And we thought this shot was very weird.
Yeah, they cleared the boxes just for the camera.
They cleared the boxes just so the camera can see what he's looking at or what we should see. It really made no sense. But this movie does have some similarities with aliens.
This specifically.
Yeah, the air ducts.
Yeah, the air duct scene.
I was like the air duct stuff, and then at the end, But
Yes.
the whole premise is alien, basically.
Yeah, I mean, not that this is groundbreaking.
No.
It's-
But the
all
idea
it is an alien attacking you in a confined space.
in a confined space.
Now, it
Yeah.
is on a spaceship, just like Alien. Relatively small crew, just like Alien. Piece at a time, just like Alien.
Well, who wrote Alien? Do you recall?
Oh, don't know.
I mean, do you think that
Dan O'Bannon?
Oh,
I think.
okay. Do you think that Ridley Scott is aware of this movie?
Well, if that factoid is to be believed.
Well, I mean, maybe the writer of Alien, was inspired by this, and not Ridley Scott.
That's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, do you think Ridley Scott gives a damn about do androids dream of electric sheep, or did he just make Blade Runner? And
I'm sure Ridley Scott was aware of it.
I'm sure he's aware of it, but does he even care?
Probably doesn't care. No.
Okay.
Because really, all you could argue that all this movie was the outline, for his movie. Certainly, he didn't borrow any of the characters. It was really just general.
I mean, it's all it is. It's a you bastard. All it is just one. It's a one sentence plot. Alien on a spaceship. That's it. That's
and the only exception is that he seemed to use the little ductwork scene there.
Yeah.
And the end, which was used to a slightly different effect, but still the same thing. They were trying to vent the ship and get the alien.
Yeah, I mean, but you can honestly assume that maybe both people would come to the same conclusion of an ending.
As the movie was going on, I kept expecting them to try and trap it in the that little ante room just before they went outside. What do you call that room?
The engine room?
No, the little where they have to decompress or
airlock.
The airlock. I kept thinking they would trick it to go into the airlock, open the outer door, blow them out.
Yeah. Okay.
And
grenades.
Yeah. Kept near the engine.
It's a good place to store things. I love the fact that the grenades aren't locked away anywhere. They're not strapped down. They're just chilling out on a box. That's a good place. And they're placing an obscene amount of grenades, it would seem.
Which, as we later see, have ultimately no effect on the physical structure of the ship.
Well, on the alien, but yes. But on the physical, on the ship itself, none at all.
None.
Except produce a lot of smoke.
Yep.
Yeah. Blower motor? Number 4? So there's 3 other blower motors?
Evidently. Well, it's a big ship.
Wish they would have explained where they got the convenient fishing wire from.
Grenade.
Yeah. Guns.
Just laid out.
Plenty of guns and bullets.
See, and that, the fact that the creature can break through their center hatch, they actually do point out in dialogue, because they pretty much think they're safe.
Yeah.
With that hatch. But when they realize the monster can break through it, then they're like, oh shit, and they start working their way up. I don't think they use that to its fullest effect either.
Oh, the makers of the film.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, the concept, the idea behind of this ship, it's basically a long tube.
Mm-hmm.
It's a vertical tube. Is that they could have gone by one by one. Each room is getting sealed off.
Yeah,
like it's being flooded.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. It's actually not unlike Poseidon Adventure. They're working their way up, and it's getting flooded as they go.
Mm-hmm.
And unlike Alien, in a way that would have been superior to Alien, once they get to the top, there is nowhere to go. You're screwed. You're stuck. You know, and that to me that's tension.
Something that was kind of lacking, by the end of this movie. Because when they reached the top, when you could clearly tell that they were in the control room, they couldn't go up anymore.
Yeah.
There was no addressing of that fact. We made that assumption on our own.
You're right.
That they had reached the end of the line. They couldn't go any further. But that's something that they skipped over, and then they really could have played up for tension's sake.
And I think they should have. And in this, they kind of go back and forth between the various levels.
Yeah, they do.
I don't think they should have done that.
No.
I think once the creature gets out of the ductwork down there and starts coming up, I think they should have basically been forced to make their way up one level at a time.
Uh-huh.
And as a result, lose access to their weaponry, to the medical bay.
Yeah.
They're being cut off from not just the sections of the ship, but from the materials that they need and things like that. So they're being stripped of their ability to defend themselves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it could work.
given that center thing is the only way that the creature is able to get up, all they're going to do is sit there and stare at that hatch, waiting for him to break through. And
That might get a bit monotonous after a while.
not in an hour and 9-minute movie.
Yeah, well.
I mean, we're 30 minutes in already, and they're kind of still pretty chill at this point, If you think about it, I mean, the first 20 minutes is kind of establishment, and even look where we are now. We're 30 minutes in, and he's still stuck. He's still not through the air ducts yet. Mm-hmm. So if you assume that the hour and 9-minute runtime doesn't change, then we're left with 40 minutes for them to get through. It's only really 10 minutes per level, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Add some tension, add the tension between the two guys that we thought was going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of someone getting left behind, on a level, getting trapped or whatever. The one guy getting an infection was kind of like an interesting idea.
Yeah.
They got to haul him up too. They had so much potential of things they could have done and didn't do it.
Well, this is where the grenades go off. Is this the first full shot we see of him?
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less.
I mean, we saw his face in the tunnel thing.
Yeah, a
He's
better.
uncomfortably close to her. Why is he so?
I'm guessing that because I noticed that when we watched this the first time, that they were kind of coupled. So I'm guessing they're, you know what I mean? Because it looks like he's holding her at the waist.
Maybe.
So it looks like they're together. Perhaps they're both old.
I don't know. Kirk did that all the time though on the original. Yeah,
well,
he's
that guy's
holding
no
her like
Kirk,
that. No, I'm saying though that was just like what they did.
Right. Back then. Yeah.
See, now look at this. He's kind of in shadow, and there's this lighting.
The spotlight that he accidentally uncovered.
But here, this is too well lit.
Yeah. I mean, this not bad. But I mean, but it's.
We should not have seen the creature at all.
Well, they hadn't heard the phrase "Don't show the shark" yet.
I mean, look at that. It's way too well lit, and we should not be this far away. The camera should never see everyone in full frame like that.
No.
It makes the ship look too big and comfortable.
And something, I forgot to mention is that we're watching this movie on the zoom mode because
the DVD we have is in 4:3 aspect ratio.
But you had the thought that maybe this is open matte.
Only because the movie started off, I don't know if you realized it, by saying that this is formatted to fit your TV.
Yeah.
So what else? It's not going to be a 2:3.5 movie, so it has to be 16:9. So I just zoomed in, and it seemed appropriate.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anyone's head's being cut off or anything like that.
No, it seems like this is the way it was meant.
Yeah,
to
it feels
framed.
very natural. There's nothing unnatural about it.
Yeah.
But maybe there's too many characters. Maybe that's one of the movie's problems.
I don't think that's a problem to start, but once they start getting killed off, man, you should lose someone per level.
You should definitely lose the you clearly have the leads of the movie.
Yeah.
Which is Van, Carruthers, and the younger woman.
Well, you and I were, when we watched them, we were very saddened and a little surprised to see the cop die
at the end. Yeah.
And I think this movie would have benefited,
hey,
from more death. And I really think it should have ended much like Poseidon Adventure ended, with of this
dying.
crew of 10, that starts off ish. Have it down to 2 or 3 people at the end of the movie. Everyone else is dead, and have them basically using what little power they have and pointing towards Earth and saying, I hope we get there.
Yeah, basically.
Just leave it like that.
Shouldn't have done that. Showed his face.
Oh, I know, too much. Well, yeah. What's going on with his mouth?
The Poseidon Adventure. I mean, the cruel thing there was that, 3 people died right as they were getting to the end.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that sucks. And then, I mean, basically, Gene Hackman basically didn't need to die. He just let himself die. Was that... Because he got up on the scaffolding to turn the steam off.
He jumped across to the
wheel, and he turned the steam, and he was hanging on it, off, which must have been
really
very,
hard.
very difficult and hard to do. But then he just kind of let go. It seemed like he'd given up. And he could have swung over or something. Or
he could have at least tried.
He just kind of it's up to you now,
Rogo.
Ernest Borgnine. Rogo. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, maybe we were to assume that his hands were melted and he had nothing left to hold on with, and he's just like, fuck, I'm done.
Well, it just seemed like I'd gotten you here. I've served my purpose.
It does have that feel.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Okay, so anyway, we're watching this movie.
Yeah.
Now they have they try various means of killing him,
and nothing.
And nothing happened. This is it's like smoke grenades. I think that's what the woman called it.
Yeah.
Which is something else that they had stored
Some
away.
sort of poisonous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing that the Alien movie had was these people on the Nostromo. It was a freighter. It was like a cargo ship. They didn't have any weapons. They had nothing. They had absolutely nothing from the get-go. I mean, they had an arsenal from the beginning. I mean, you did mention the fact that one way around
a rescue mission.
Yeah, but one way around the fact that they came so well armed, which would reduce some of the threat, would be that their weapons get cut off. They can't access their weapons
very quickly anymore.
Right,
yes.
They can't access, so they have to improvise, which is what people on the Nostromo had to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is where he gets infected, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know if that was his hand. It looked like, I don't know, it was like skinning him or something.
I don't know.
It looks funny.
But this was an interesting element that he gets infected.
Yeah, maybe he could have turned into an it monster.
Something.
You know, I know that's kind of like zombie-ish. Maybe they didn't want to go that route. Because then, what if he turns into that monster, and then he's trapped in that room with him? He starts going crazy.
Nah, but I like the idea of him going crazy though.
That was kind of neat, though.
Yeah,
he did start to go loopy.
In principle, it wasn't.
He didn't do it very well. No. I don't know if it's not his fault, but it's
right.
The writer's fault or the director's fault. I mean,
the more we talk about it, and even as we were watching it, but especially as we're talking about it, I really, really would like to have seen this movie done well, because it has so much potential. It's 5 levels, and there ain't anywhere to go. You're not going outside.
Yeah. It's basically just a vertical submarine.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Well, not to say that the movie's bad.
The movie's not...
It's not a classic. It's a B movie. It's definitely a B sci-fi movie of the 50s.
What I can definitely see, much like the little factoids.
I mean, although I wouldn't... I wouldn't say it's MST3K level. No.
I wouldn't either, honestly.
No, we're not saying that.
They could definitely play with it.
Oh, they do it with everything. They do it with good movies. It doesn't matter.
True.
But it's definitely above that line. Some of the shots, like particularly the opening shot, and then the shots of the ship cruising upward through space, take me back to an MST3K movie, The Phantom Planet. The effects on the Phantom Planet look exactly the same, and it was made almost around the same time.
Right.
Of course, this movie is far superior to the Phantom Planet, which is a god awful piece of garbage. Anyway, and I mean, there's far too many scenes of them standing around, not concerned.
Yes, I agree.
This kind of, they seem not worried by the fact that they're being hunted and killed or that they might die.
Yeah, actually, now that you mention that, I'm actually really surprised that, given the stereotype that the women play in this movie, that you never see one of those women break down and be like, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do? We're gonna die." That never.
They actually turned out to be stronger characters.
Yeah,
than the men. They don't actually, freak out.
Yeah,
and they never made enough of a moment out of that door, out of those hatches being opened and closed.
Exactly.
Like make that. Like show a close up of him, like peeking in, looking, make it scary. Something.
Yeah,
it's just like from a distance, the door opens and goes down like a garage door. I'm like, or like a clamshell. I'm like,
well,
that's not very tense. Oh, this is the schematic. Yeah. And this is like halfway through the movie where we finally get to see how big the ship is, because we had no idea.
Exactly halfway through the movie.
Yeah, because we were like, how big is this ship? Because we had no idea.
We had no concept, and we should have known that beforehand. You know, we should have had a Goodfellas shot. We should have had
Goodfellas.
The camera should have followed someone going through level to level in one continuous shot. So we could see.
That's way more complicated than this movie would ever thought of.
I'm just saying, you know.
I could see the cinematographer on the set. He's like, I got this vision, and the director's like, no.
Wait a minute.
We got to keep the
that is
schedule
what the
here.
first guy did.
Is it?
He did go down.
Oh, did he?
But
they cut. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's fine. It doesn't have to be done in one continuous shot, but he did go level to level because he did go down to engineering. Okay. But what they did not do effectively was redress or state.
This is the transition, and he notices.
Yeah, he does. Even you and I were like, what? Is this happening?
Although it's not very well set up in terms of where they are in relation to each other.
No, it's not.
But obviously, her allegiance has changed from Van to Carruthers.
Hey, man, she's the captain's woman.
Yeah. It's like, hey.
She's pretty, too.
Well, yeah.
You bastard.
And this guy is the radio operator.
This is the radio peeping Tom, this guy.
And he just, okay, I heard enough. Time to go back to, yeah.
We could get around behind the creature by.
And now, what do you think of what they're talking about here about going outside the ship and coming down and coming back in?
Well, it was a great way to break up the monotony of these indoor scenes because we had to get out. We've been trapped inside these rooms for half the movie.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, cool, we're gonna get to go outside. Not very interesting outside. They don't show anything, of course.
No.
All it is they go in and out the same door, which is supposed to be a different door. But I was like, okay, that's neat. They went outside. And I was like, that's kind of like in the Abyss too. They go outside. They swim to another hatch. I was like, oh, that's cool. This movie was before that, you know. Did they do an EVA in Alien?
I don't think so.
Okay. And these aren't the stereotypical like astronaut suits.
No, they're not. They look like
they're very flimsy. They look like biosuits almost, or like it's the helmet part.
It's biosuits wrapped in vinyl.
Yeah, the body part is okay, but the helmet is not right. It's soft looking. It's not right.
Yeah.
And this is what, and they actually invented magnetic boots here.
They did.
I don't know if this was the first movie.
And they didn't say it, but that's what they did.
But that's what you have to assume because they don't explain it.
Yeah.
That they have magnetic boots because they walk upright on the side of the ship. So.
And here we got our Batman shot.
Mm-hmm.
Something should have happened out here. I don't know what.
Yeah, that's definitely what this thing is missing. It's missing a beat.
Yeah.
Some kind of action beat. Something like, oh, I'm running out of air, or my mag boots aren't working. Something.
Yeah, I mean, what would you do?
Have the alien do something outside, or I don't know, something. I don't know.
If you're the script doctor, I brought this scene to you. Make the scene interesting to me without spending too much money, and make it not cliche. What could happen out here?
Not cliche?
You know, don't have the alien go outside. Don't go too far with it. Just give us a little bit of a beat.
Well, I mean, this is 1950s sci-fi, so it can't be anything too complicated.
No.
You could just have one of them spring a leak in his suit.
I'm actually surprised they gave us this shot.
They gave us this shot. This was actually...
For the time.
This must have cost money, and obviously this is horribly off scale.
Oh, yeah.
But that was good that they actually gave us an exterior shot.
Yeah.
I wish they would have given us another one because they continue with this shot for way too long.
Yes, they did.
Could one of them just spring a leak in the suit?
I don't know. It seems a bit...
Well, maybe they could do like a Mission to Mars style scene where there is decompression in one of the compartments, and they have to go out and repair it. Mm-hmm. They did that. That scene in that movie is decent. It's not a good movie, but it's decent. Maybe they could do something like that.
I would have liked to have lost someone outside the ship.
Yeah, sure.
Since we only have so many people, we don't want them to all die the same way. Have someone be lost outside for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. How?
I don't know what.
How exactly?
I don't know. But this scene crossing from the top of the ship to the bottom on the outside, something's got to happen.
And it doesn't. It's just...
We needed a dramatic moment.
Yeah.
There. But yes, difficult to do given that if I say don't bring the alien outside or, I don't know.
You think even then they would have said something about the smoking, that maybe that's not a good idea? I mean, I know that this was in 58, so we hadn't even sent a man into space yet, Had Sputnik even happened yet? Was that the first year of Sputnik, 58, 59 or something like that? Wasn't that late 50s?
I don't know.
I think it was. So the Russians hadn't even sent a man into space yet. The space program hadn't even begun. And so they would just have to assume all these things. We would just have to assume all these things.
I really don't think we should have ever seen the alien this much.
Well, yeah.
We should have seen tentacles or something,
Yeah. Giving him a face was a mistake.
Yeah.
Keep it in shadows, at least. I mean, he's clearly humanoid, and that's fine, but showing us the face was a mistake. And in the movie shows him flailing about like he's a big dumb oaf. It's kind of ridiculous, and it really neutralizes the threat of him. Mm-hmm. I mean, in this, it's just pick up the pace.
I know what they could have done.
What, outside?
Yeah. Because at this point, the creature isn't he still pretty much in the engine room?
I don't know where he is. He's somewhere.
Who cares? He's down below.
Yeah.
He could have been messing with things, touching buttons, breaking things, whatever. And this could have been another element they could have done to increase the tension of the movie as a whole. He goes to the window. What am I going to do?
It looked like he's looking into a mirror. Do I look pretty?
No, he's looking out the way.
I know.
He could have done something to make the ship accelerate. Now, yes, they're in space, but if the ship accelerates and they're on the outside, they're still going to have a problem, and have them fighting to hold on, and, someone gets lost,
Okay.
If they were on the exterior of the ship and the ship suddenly accelerated, they could potentially get thrown from the ship, right? Just because there's no atmosphere in space, I mean, they wouldn't just still stay where they are. If they're not holding on to anything.
Yeah, but they got their mag boots on.
Well, let's work around the mag boot thing.
I guess not. I guess they would be. If you assume that the interior has inertial dampers and that the exterior does not, then I guess you could assume that they would be tussled around.
Well, you know what? The ship's in motion already, and they're walking along without a seeming problem. But still, point is the creature could have done something that could have accelerated or jostled the ship.
And one person is lost.
To where they get lost outside.
Or both?
Nah, just
one. Just one.
I think that would have been a nice little beat to add.
Sure.
And all it would have been was a little camera shaking. And
yeah, show the monster having some kind of intelligence, like he's messing with the ship.
Yeah,
and like
not
he
necessarily
knows
that he was doing that.
because he's just a big dumb brute. He doesn't show any signs of intelligence at all, foresight or nothing.
Yeah, and
it makes him a very dull villain. Unfortunately, if the thing with the alien the alien wasn't intelligent, but it adapted, and it was obviously moving off instinct.
It was intelligent.
It was an animal, but it showed foresight in some cases.
It was like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. They were just smart enough to kind of lay a trap for you a little bit.
Yeah,
they weren't going to outthink you necessarily.
No.
But you're in their environment. They're going to know to wait in the bushes and pray.
It's a hunter.
Exactly.
It knows how to do that.
Yes, exactly.
This guy should know how to hunt, at least kill. I mean, in the the guy broke his leg. I broke my leg. And the yeah, I'm running away. No, he runs away, and then he comes back, and then he runs away again. But
this guy with the fire got really freaking old.
well, it gets old very quickly, and they keep going back to it. But what the explanation they give is paper thin. Mm-hmm. One of the guys, maybe it's this guy, hypothesizes, flamethrower guy hypothesizes,
right.
or arc welder man hypothesizes that this alien was once part of a grand Martian civilization that tore itself apart, that was warlike or something like that.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I guess that's all they need. They don't really need to explain what it is or why, where it came from, or if there's others like it. That's it. That's all you need. So he's about to go out, but then he comes back in, right?
And he goes back up to the...
See this, like the monster goes back. He's like, oh, it's too bright. And then it's like, and then they just fade away. It just makes it seem rather unimportant when they fade away to a guy climbing down steps.
I agree.
And they're just sitting there listening to the guy. So how you doing down there?
It's nice to have company.
They show that he's hurt. He has dried blood.
Mm-hmm. Picked a good spot right between the induction pumps.
You mean it can't get at you?
Yeah, you know...
If I didn't have this torch, to reach me, it has to
I mean, we were definitely thinking these things as the movie played, but
Can you reach the lock?
you know, I'm just really taken with the fact that a lot of the problems I think this movie has could have been fixed by playing with the strengths of the movie. It actually kind of sort of reminds me of Tremors. It's got a kind of a similar vibe. In some respects anyway. But I really think, given the confined space, we should have had a lot of this movie dark, in shadows, increase the threat by taking out the crew, you know, I think only the first two guys are the only ones that die. You know, the Captain Van or whatever he is, he does get the infection, but everyone else survives. No one dies in this movie other than the two guys in the beginning who we don't even know. You know, at this point, we're at least familiar with some of these people. So again, there's no tension. We can literally see every environment we're in.
I'm just laughing at it. I looked away from the screen. I looked back, and I was just like, "You better not still be throwing that arc welder at it, guy." And he is. That was funny. Well, I mean, clearly the monster is unintelligent because he doesn't seem to be learning anything.
Yeah.
So this is the blood. This becomes a plot point.
Yes, it does.
Which you think is maybe just some
antibiotic
kind of
or
something.
Fluid.
Is apparently blood. She's been transferring blood.
Yeah, evidently.
And it turns out that they're running out of blood. So I guess she's giving him blood too. So I guess they have all types of blood.
Doesn't look like blood.
B positive, O.
Makes sense if you think about it.
So I decided after one bad marriage to bury myself in science. I didn't want anybody.
And this is when they have sex in 50s terms, I guess.
They hold hands vigorously.
Well, no, the way she's, her hand on the side of his face.
She's pulling him near her boob. And
yeah, it's very...
Yeah.
So he's dead.
This guy?
Look, she just unhooked him.
He's not dead.
Okay, I just assumed he died.
His injuries were less than this guy.
Well, I thought he was dead. He wasn't moving. He looked like he was dead.
I don't think he's dead.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I guess we'll find out. No, because he is in the control room at the end.
Okay. I mean, some of these characters are a bit hard to keep track of who's who.
Mm-hmm.
Eric.
Well, I just cut right in there, babe.
We were having a conversation.
I can fight it with drugs, but slowly. Too slowly.
Yeah, see, at this point, I mean, granted, we're pretty much at the end of the freaking movie. Well, I guess we're about 20 minutes away, close to it.
Well, I mean, the movie felt like, even though it was only an hour and 9 minutes, it felt longer than that.
It started to drag.
Because it dragged.
Because they weren't doing enough with these similar environments.
The dragging came from the third act, basically, because there was not enough going on.
Yeah,
and it was too much repetition.
I agree with you.
And the threat wasn't there.
No, none.
And this is, obviously... This was kind of interesting when he started to flip out a little bit.
Potentially, and then he turns into a comic,
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
The radiation will kill him, yeah!
And you're like, what?
He actually had a good idea.
Yeah, it just didn't really work out. Just like every one of their ideas. Like when they electrocute the stairs.
Yeah,
it doesn't
it was
work.
a good idea.
Yeah.
You always kill without a scratch.
It's like, you cheating bitch.
She's like,
You're cradling his head. That's like third base.
Is this the scene where? No, that's later. When she's talking to Van and he's like, you don't love me anymore, baby. She's like, we don't need to talk about this now.
Yeah.
Like, what?
I think that's when they're up on in the control deck.
Okay.
When he starts to get his shit back together.
Yeah. You don't love me anymore. You love this Carruthers. Not a very good name for a hero, I might add.
Carruthers?
Yeah.
No.
One sound and
It just sounds like a dweeby villain name, like Mr. Carruthers.
Yeah.
Typo, compartment X1, storage B.
So this is when they're off to go get the blood.
Mm-hmm.
And this, that's gotten old very fast.
Well, they're going to get the blood and they're going to get that guy too.
Well, yeah, but cutting back to that guy.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just like, kill him already.
Yeah, it's like, kill something. Do something.
Kill something.
Do something destructive. He's playing around with this dead guy's body for what reason? It doesn't seem to do anything.
Just went into the reactor room.
this might be the break we're waiting for.
That guy was down there trapped with the fire thing that was working. And what does he say? Does he say anything like, I've only got 5 minutes of this fire or something? No, I got 3 hours, man. I'm good for a while.
Yeah,
that's literally what he says. I've got like 3 hours of this.
Yeah, basically. Well,
I've got more in this tank than there is time in this movie.
He started telling jokes, basically.
Essentially.
Nothing. Not a squawk.
Oh, we're coming down.
He should have died.
Yeah, I agree. Well, one other guy does die. One of the two that goes down to rescue him does die.
Yeah.
I think it's the balding guy. Dark-haired guy.
Why are his shoes off?
They took off their boots.
So put some friggin' shoes on.
No, they took off their boots.
No, I get that.
So they wouldn't clink.
Oh, that's right.
So they wouldn't make noise.
You're right. I forgot.
It does look weird seeing them walk around with their socks on, but... See, another moment when,
there should be some tension with that.
Well, they're showing it at a wide angle, and we, I mean, if you're going to do that, not show us, show it from right behind the door as it's lifting up. So we can see him looking in, but we can't see what he can see.
Right.
So, yeah, but we're basically far back, and it's at a side. And
you mean the trunk perspective?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
One of the drawbacks to black and white, which could have been remedied with a color version of this movie, is each level could have had a color.
Yeah, that's like what they did in Cube. Each room was a different color.
Oh, I haven't.
It was, but all they had was one room
Uh-huh.
when they filmed it. Anyway,
but a similar thing though, just a tint to it or something, so we would really know without any question and very quickly what level this is.
Yeah.
Whether it be a paint on the wall, some sort of.
Well, if they gave it, if each room had something on the wall.
Put a number. Deck 1.
Deck 2. Something to.
Jesus, that alone would have been
something.
helpful.
Yeah, to designate for us to differentiate in our minds. Each room
because
from another
they
room.
start. If we sit and examine it, we can differentiate the levels. But at this point, you actually have to think about it, and you don't want to think about it.
No.
You should just instinctually, visually know. And that's a pain. That's a problem.
His plan here is just to irradiate the monster.
He's like opening the doors to the reactor.
Right. And it doesn't work.
At all.
No. I mean, other than, maybe blind or just piss him off or annoy him.
I hope that door holds if it wants out. Bob, hurry up!
Okay. No, finally got him out.
It's enough to kill 100 men. I'll be all right.
No, I'm not leaving.
Yeah, see, this is where this guy dies. Going up the stairs, I think.
Yeah, it gets him going up.
Yeah.
And the other guy just goes and hides.
He just goes and hides again. He just goes back to his spot, and you're like, oh my god, we're back to that again.
Fire doesn't do anything.
It's like, we're doing this again?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, okay, this is done. The fire guy should have died here. Really.
Let's kill them both. Yeah.
Or both, yeah, but don't put him back in the same spot. It's really a ship of cowards.
Well, you would think that they would have some type of elevator system in this, when they have to carry these heavy objects from one level to another.
Yeah.
Maybe a dumbwaiter system.
Yeah, I was gonna say a pulley system.
Yeah, something.
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't really think about the design of that very, very well, did you?
Wow.
Handicapped accessible? I don't think so.
No handicapped people on this ship.
And they're going 30 miles an hour there in 3 billion
it has
years.
A tail fin.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For what? That ship is not entering Earth orbit. That can't fly. Doesn't have wings.
You don't think it's going to, land on Earth?
No.
Vertically settle down?
Well, I guess that is how it landed on Mars.
Yeah.
But Mars has a
very
considerably
thin
weaker atmosphere. Yeah, and the gravity's the same.
No, it's
pretty
not.
similar.
What is it, about a half?
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
What's the moon? 1/3?
Okay, maybe it's 2/3.
All right, it's close. It's close.
The moon is 1/6.
1/6.
1/6.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know. In Missions to Mars, it looks pretty similar.
Oh, yeah. Because they went all the way to Mars to film that movie.
What about in Red Planet?
In Red Planet, that's accurate. Red Planet's known for its accuracy. This is the scene I was talking about.
Right.
So you love that other guy? Oh, honey, I don't know what you're talking about. Let's not talk about that now.
I saw you touching his face. Holding his hand.
I saw you give good hand, lady.
You held my hand on our first date, you bitch.
So is that how it works? You like some guy, you just hold his hand?
Hand whore.
I've just got to know.
Ben, please.
And
I don't recall seeing these two.
She just touched his mouth, man.
Yeah.
She was flat out like, that was oral.
Yeah, for this movie.
I'm taking over.
I'm taking over now.
Check your pulse.
Because she doesn't do anything other than just sit next to
oral?
him. I guess she's the consolation prize.
Yeah.
I guess. It's like, well, you'll do for a while. How much longer are you going to live?
Suck my van.
I'm the guy with all the answers.
Van McMuscles. Dick McHardstein.
Thick McRunfast. Smoke man muscle. Big McLarge huge.
See, no, look at that. Look at what they're doing here. They
Barricaded.
start barricading it. This is the first they've thought of doing that.
First time.
Yeah. We're at the end of the movie. They should have been doing that immediately.
Yeah.
There's head bandage guy right in the back.
Oh, yeah.
we
And that bazooka.
You and I laughed out loud.
That and in the beginning, that was the two laugh out loud moments. You're like, what the hell is this? Yeah.
Well, I was pointing out, and I suppose we should say this since we're pretty much at the last 5 minutes of the movie here. To the Soulless Minions fan that suggested this movie,
If anybody's interested at this late date, I got it figured.
I would say I did not dislike this movie. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. What I actually found myself with was just frustrated about the things that it could have done. It's many missed opportunities.
Missed opportunity.
That was the most frustrating thing for me, because it had good bones. It had potential, and like I said, basically a couple times at this point, things that I think could have been fixed for, very little extra time or money, and things that would have played to the strengths of the movie, which are its confined set, the nature of the set itself, the actual physical structure of the ship. I think these are strengths of the movie, and they really don't play to them. I mean, they do a little bit. And what I will say is that, to be fair, this was still in the infancy of these kinds of movies. Was there that we refer to this as a B horror movie, but was there really an A horror movie at this time? Give me an example of one. They were all pretty much schlock like this. Movies like this weren't taken seriously at this point. But having said that, I can definitely see, especially given the Alien reference that we pointed out, how this movie could have been inspirational to filmmakers that came along 20, 30 years later.
Yeah, I can see, young filmmakers seeing it as when they're young, being inspired by it.
Yeah, definitely.
I can see that.
I can definitely see that. Mm-hmm. And for its time,
just like I'm sure them inspired.
I can definitely see how them did. Mm-hmm. Them is this movie just in a city, and with better writing.
Better production.
Definitely. But I mean, this is actually, one of the kind of classic, setups of a horror movie, the monster in a confined space. And they put it on a spaceship. Usually it's a confined space like, they're stuck in a house, they're stuck in a building. But as long as they get out of that building or that house, they're safe. That doesn't exist here. There is nowhere to go.
Yeah.
That's actually really, really cool. And they totally don't use it. Very disappointing in that sense. So, so yeah, to wrap up that thought, I'm glad that we had a chance to watch it, especially since we have something to compare it to from the same time frame, and a horror movie at that. It really gives us a good example of how it could be done slightly differently, and how, using them as the example, they focused on 3 to 4 characters, and they really got interesting to us. Mm-hmm. They weren't terribly deep, but we found ourselves interested in them, and we liked them. These ones, they're rather interchangeable, and they're just not interesting.
Well, they definitely set it up as if they're going to be.
Yes.
And it doesn't pay off.
No.
They get bogged down in these types of situations. I mean, even though this is the finale, of just trying to stop the monster. And that's
we should have lost someone here. Someone should have gone out that hatch.
That would have been that's way too contemporary.
Having someone blown out.
Well, just that of someone, one of the heroes dying at the end. They wouldn't do that in the 50s. Whatever. That's too brutal for that 50s audience.
Bull. They did it in them.
But
the sergeant died fighting him.
Yeah,
man.
That's true. But to have a death like that, of being blown out into space. Had we seen anything like that in 50s sci-fi?
Oh, I don't.
Had that happened?
I don't know.
Did people really understand that? Yeah,
I think so.
Okay. So I can imagine they'd seen a lot similar to that before.
Yeah, it's a fair point. And to
we are
be honest, I really don't know.
We're pretty spoiled,
Yes, we are.
We think we know a lot because we've seen every episode of Star Trek and all that stuff,
Well, we do have a pretty
okay
realistic understanding of the physics of space travel and how that works. Now, yes, your average movie-going audience in the late 50s, I don't know. That's a good point.
And it ends on them holding hands.
Yeah, that's it. This is it. This is the end of the movie.
It goes to the
folks.
press conference.
Oh, that's right.
It goes back after they've reconvened, after they've run out. And he said, excuse me. I have more to say, please.
I don't think they should have had this either.
Well, it opens and it buttons.
It does, but at the same time, it does nothing. It adds nothing to the movie.
It's really removed.
It is.
upon the planet Mars.
All he basically does is
There's no longer
wrap up the movie, saying that this is what happened. The end, basically. I mean, I can understand the beginning being there to set it up, but as far as an ending, maybe they felt they needed a tag,
Maybe.
that just, I don't know.
I think the movie should have ended the way I said. I think it should have ended with them, with the ship damaged because of the creature, setting a course for Earth, not even knowing if they were going to make it.
Yeah,
That would have been the perfect
I think you hit it on the nose where you said that Carruthers is the only guy to survive. He makes it back to Earth and gets thrown in prison. I was like,
well, you threw in that part. I'm just saying that he'd be the only survivor.
Well, I think that he gets back to Earth and he's screwed. He's like, he kills the alien, but everybody else is dead. No one to tell.
And if they had spaced the alien, what alien?
It's like, I swear it's true, and that's it. That's the end of the movie.
We think that they.
If Rod Serling had written it, that's how it would have ended.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of the movie. This is a 1958 release. There's no credits.
Mm-hmm. I basically gave my wrap up thoughts. What are yours?
Basically the same. I didn't dislike the movie. I didn't love it. It had a lot of potential. It definitely was a product of the era.
Yeah,
it's very early sci-fi. I think there was, just like you said, just a lot of missed opportunities. They had a lot of things they could have done that they didn't, unfortunately. But overall, I'm glad we watched it. It's fun to go back and watch these early sci-fi films from the 50s. I'm glad it was recommended to us. So I'm sorry it took us so long to get to that recommendation. But I'm glad that we did. So, feel free to keep sending us recommendations. We'll try to get to them.
I really enjoyed it as an exercise,
Yeah, this was fun for us. We had a good time watching it together and experiencing it together. Because them we watched separately, like you said. This we watched together,
and it was neat to have them to compare this to, or vice versa.
Yeah. Just please don't hesitate to recommend something to us. We can't guarantee that we'll get to it, or that we'll get to it soon. I mean, it's difficult for us to do these commentaries. Our schedules don't really line up, but if you're patient, we'll try to get around to it. But thanks for this one. It was fun.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.